Welcome back to New Day Northwest. Something we need to tell you about: blood supply levels in our area at or near critical levels. And that is not good news when it's heading into the summer months and those regular donor visits get disrupted by vacations and other activities. So that's why there's an urgent need to find new pockets of donors. And here to speak on that is Trey Holiday, host and producer at Converge Media. Welcome back to New Day. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. Always a pleasure to be here.
I'll tell you what, it doesn't surprise me at all that you're connected to this recruit to get more blood donors out there. First of all, why is this important to you?
Well, you know, honestly, my father died suddenly last year. And it was, you know, because he had had these many heart attacks.
Oh, my goodness.
And my mom and dad were like, oh, well, he's had this one issue. We thought it was the same issue. So just being checked in general, checking our health is super important to me now at this time. It's like you can't just be thinking that you know everything when you don't.
And they do basically, when you're a donor yourself, you know this, when you go there, they check your blood, they check everything, and they'll let you know if there's a problem, right?
Absolutely. I encountered that myself. You know, my iron levels were low, and so they had to send me back. I had to take some iron pills before I could actually donate. So donating is really a pretty extensive process where you learn about yourself throughout it.
You do. You learn about what your blood type is, which is important. What happened with there's a new program. It's called Where the Heart Lives. I love that name. What is it all about?
Well, it's so amazing because BloodWorks Northwest connected with the residency, and the residency brings up young artists, right? Young rappers and singers. And so they connected with them to do this campaign across high schools and get young folks to understand the importance of their donation. So it's great, to see them out there hyping the young folks up. I'm so grateful that I was able to be there and give a part of my story too to these young folks and tell them why it's so important for them to donate.
I'm so glad you did, because you know what I didn't realize until we were doing this interview, that the BloodWorks Northwest specifically relies on high school kids for 20 to 25% of the blood it collects. That's a quarter of all the blood it collects, and the high schoolers are doing this?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. They get to take, you know, health into their own hands, right? And nowadays, especially when you have high schoolers who are, you know, excited about civic engagement issues, this is one that they can actually be a part of in a really helpful way.
Why is it also especially important to reach young BIPOC people?
Well, honestly, you know, the levels are really critical when you think about global majority folks. And that's for those young folks, they're really filling a void that's necessary right now. I mean, you were just talking about these critical levels. All of the negative types, A, B, and O, are all at low critical levels right now. And so it's important to get those young global majority folks to actually be a part of this process and fill those voids.
Yeah. Is there some mistrust there when it comes to medical system, to everything, to giving that blood?
Yeah, there's definitely trust that needs to be built. And I talked to BloodWorks Northwest and the residency about this in particular, that, you know, it's great to have these young folks talking to young folks, because that's a way to build trust. You do need critical messengers, someone that is like reflective of them and their lived experience to break that barrier. But it's true, historically speaking, global majority folks have not always been in the best care in medical facilities. And so a lot of young folks are actually putting that into play. I think especially now with the rise of the internet, you know, we're learning more too about a lot of different things when it comes to the disparities in healthcare. So that's something that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the term global majority folks is something that maybe many of our viewers have never heard before. Can you kind of explain what you mean by that?
Yeah, so folks use BIPOC, right? Black, Indigenous, people of color, but it is a hodgepodge. I love to really make it forefront and say global majority folks, because we're talking about folks globally who are the majority. And I think it's also empowering too for folks that have normally been called minorities, or that they are in marginalized communities, or that they are the ones dealing with the disparities the most. A lot of that language is negative. So global majority is positive.
I thank you for sharing that. So how do we combat this distrust? I know you say having, you know, kids talk to kids, having you come and speak to them. You're well respected in the media. They've seen you. How else do do we combat these things?
Transparency is key.
Okay.
I think that's really the biggest thing. And I know that Bloodworks Northwest is really working on that, right? Because ultimately they cannot trust something that they do not know.
Yeah.
And so they need to know more. They need to be able to be more transparent. I think a lot of our healthcare facilities need to do that. And honestly, trust is built when they experience it. They experience and feel the difference. When young folks can go into a medical facility and know that they're going to be cared for just as much as someone who may not look like them, that's where you really begin to have that amount of trust built into the system, because they're feeling it and they're experiencing it.
Yeah. And then being able to know that you are helping part of an issue and saving lives. I mean, it's just these young people stepping up and impacting change. It's just so powerful.
It really is. And even, you know, through these events, being at the high school, I'm telling you, you could feel the energy of young folks who were like, wait a minute, you mean to tell me that I could donate blood and I'm helping out a friend? And that's really key and critical, especially when we're seeing the rise of gun violence and all these other things. This is affecting our young folks. And the fact that they can step up and do something about it is also so empowering for them. So I love to see and experience their engagement with it. They were so excited, not just for the performances, but to give blood.
Trey, thank you so much. It was a pleasure. Thank you for sharing your story and educating us. And if you'd like to sign up to give blood or find a Bloodworks Northwest blood drive near you, visit the website on your screen.